I did a little survey and found that lunchtime on Wednesdays are extra special for lots of employees because there's a certain dish that's served. It's stewed peas. Delicious. Well, on this Tuesday edition of Jamaica Magazine, we look at that and other traditional Jamaican dishes. Now, they say you shouldn't swim right after you've eaten, so we'll cool off a bit and then head to the beach. Hi, I'm Adrian Atkinson. It's going to be fun. Stay with us.
Come out and support Jamaica's Sunshine Girls as they compete in an exciting international test series. Jamaica will compete in a week of competition against Trinidad and Tobago's Calypso Girls, followed by the England Roses. The countries compete at the National Indoor Sports Centre on Arthur Wint Drive, Kingston 5. Tickets are sold online at ticketpal.com and in limited amount at the venue on match days. Feel the rhythm, catch the vibe with Jamaica's national netball team, the Sunshine Girls.
It's
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, October 2. The construction of a drop-in center in Trelawney is expected to begin within a few weeks. The facility, which will house the homeless and disadvantaged persons, is being built at a cost of $14 million. Local Government and Community Development Minister Desmond McKenzie says completion is scheduled for early next year.
This drop-in center is critical because it is a facility that the government is providing through local government for persons who live on our streets, persons who don't have anywhere, who would need a bath, a change of clothes, need medical attention, a place if there is an hurricane or something that requires that we take them off the streets. The drop-in facilities will be there.
Minister McKenzie was speaking at the recent regular monthly meeting of the Trelawney Municipal Corporation. The drop-in center will be constructed on lands in close proximity to the Trelawney Police Divisional Headquarters in Falmouth. To date, 4 other such facilities have been constructed across the island. Labor and Social Security Minister Shahini Robinson says steps will be taken to have eligible working individuals contribute to the National Insurance Scheme, NIS. These include the increased monitoring of workplaces to register persons and improved service to contributors and pensioners. Minister Robinson says her ministry will also be developing a public education and marketing campaign to reach the target audience, especially those who are self-employed. This, she indicates, is necessary to get persons to be part of a pension scheme.
So we want employers, employees, self-employed persons to be more vigilant and to be more concerned about contributing to these schemes. Because when you think of it, 20 years down the road, Jamaica will have a social security nightmare if we don't encourage persons to be in a pension fund. NIS is mandatory if you're working, and I have said that there are provisions in the law to sanction employers and persons who don't contribute. And I believe that we might really have to look at that to make sure that when these funds are taken from your salary, that it is indeed paid over to this scheme.
Minister Robinson says non-compliance is a major factor in the lack of growth in the number of contributors, despite increased employment levels. Under the law, all persons aged 18 years and older who are gainfully employed and live in Jamaica should be insured under the NIS. Minister Robinson was speaking at the Caribbean Community of Retired Persons 2018 Living Legacy Awards luncheon on Friday. A bill to validate and indemnify the Spectrum Management Authority, SMA, for increasing regulatory fees without legislative authority was passed by the Senate. The Telecommunications Spectrum Regulatory Fees Validation and Indemnity Act 2018 will authorize and protect actions of the SMA for the period April 1, 2004 to March 22, 2017. Piloting the bill recently, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith explained that the formula designed to calculate the regulatory fees did not include a mechanism for annual increase.
To address this issue and after consultation with the telecommunication operators who were affected, the authority increased the annual operating budget in the formula consistent with the level of inflation as determined by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica for the previous year. And they continued this action from 2004 to 2017, when new regulations were promulgated to give legislative authority to this act, to this mechanism.
Senator Johnson-Smith said Clause 3 of the bill validates actions taken by the authority, declaring that calculation and collection of spectrum regulatory fees during the period were properly and lawfully made and done.
The clause also frees, acquits, discharges, and indemnifies anyone who is liable to be proceeded against from liability. It provides that unpaid regulatory fees validated by the bill remain due and payable.
The Spectrum Management Authority is the regulator with responsibility for managing radio frequency spectrum. In keeping with the provisions of the Telecommunications Act and specifically Section 26, spectrum users are required to pay regulatory fees to cover their reasonable operating costs. Robotics training and careers in the maritime industry will now be introduced to students in primary and secondary schools across the island. This initiative is a collaboration between the Caribbean Maritime University and the Women in Maritime Association Caribbean. Minister of Transport and Mining Robert Montague welcomed the program and said it will introduce students to basic engineering and science concepts.
The launch of this program means that more people, particularly our students, will be exposed to the maritime sector as an option to a new and exciting career path.
The minister was speaking at the launch of the program last Thursday. Throughout the program, students will learn engineering concepts, problem solving, teamwork, critical thinking, and technical applications. 1,000 students and staff at the Oracobessa Primary School are now benefiting from a new computer lab valued at over $40,000. The room is outfitted with 18 computers through a partnership by the government with several private sector entities. At the handover ceremony on Friday, Education State Minister Floyd Green expressed gratitude.
I love the fact that you chose to invest in technology. Because if I were to say what is the most pressing priority, yes, we do have significant building needs. Yes, we continue to enhance our school feeding programs. But the reality, the world that our children are growing up in now, they have to have technology at their fingertips.
And finally, the Taylor Peace Road in southeast St. Mary, which has been repaired, was officially opened and renamed in honor of former councillor Barton Oliver. During the renaming ceremony on the weekend, local government minister Desmond McKenzie urged citizens to take care of the roadway.
We have spent money to repair the road, to correct the drainage system. Don't light no fire, no dig it up, no wash car upon it.
Meanwhile, Minister McKenzie, in acknowledging the work of councillors, urged greater responsibility and committed to recognizing long-serving councillors.
The job of a councillor is not an easy one, because the councillors are the first line that the people find. Anything that goes wrong in your community, you hear them say, "Where is your councillor?" And councillors must therefore live up to those expectations.
And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
More life.
More memories.
More moments.
Jamaica Moves is a call to action to prevent non-communicable diseases. Get active, eat healthy. You can protect yourself from high blood pressure, obesity, asthma, certain cancer diseases, and more.
Next, a roundup of the week that was for Prime Minister Andrew Holness while attending the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
Prime Minister calls for commitment to peaceful coalitions, reassures diaspora that crime reduction strategies are working, and
the UN must be responsive to an ever-changing and unpredictable world if it is to remain relevant and effective.
I'm Anthony Morgan with Jamaica House Weekly. All last week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness was in the eastern state of New York for the 73rd session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA. On Monday, Mr. Holness addressed the UN at a peace summit in honor of the 100th anniversary of Nelson Mandela's birth. He urged world leaders to affirm the need for healthy and meaningful dialogue to foster peace.
Like Mandela, we too must commit to the consolidation of peaceful coalitions. What better occasion than this summit to do just that? Let that be our legacy in his honor.
On Tuesday, the Prime Minister held bilateral talks with his Kenyan counterpart. Economic and cultural cooperation, as well as ongoing agreements, were discussed. Mr. Holness also held bilateral talks with the Prime Minister of Denmark. A similar meeting was held with the Venezuelan president. Mr. Holness also held talks with the Commonwealth Secretary General on the margins of the UNGA.
I want to assure you that the government has put in place several crime-fighting strategies, but more than that, we have put in place several national security strategies that are all working to improve the safety and security of Jamaica.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing members of the diaspora on Tuesday. At a reception held at the Jamaican consulate, the Prime Minister also spoke to the economy, climate change, public sector transformation, as well as engaging youth through the HOPE and National Service Corps programs. He also touched on tourism, monetizing culture, entertainment, sport, and ongoing infrastructure development.
From an infrastructure point of view, things look good. There are a couple of big projects as well in terms of real estate development. When I say real estate now, I mean not private, not residential real estate, but commercial and industrial real estate right across the country. Those projects are in the works and will start.
On Wednesday, the Prime Minister attended a high-level panel on building a sustainable ocean economy. Wednesday also saw the Prime Minister attending a meeting with Bloomberg Philanthropies in a bid to raise awareness of the burden of non-communicable diseases, NCDs. During a meeting with the UN Secretary General, Prime Minister Holness was asked to lead a political initiative aimed at mobilizing climate financing to support the Paris Agreement. Mr. Holness and French President Emmanuel Macron will lead the charge to raise $100 billion per year by 2020. In accepting the role, Prime Minister Holness pledged to work with other countries and the private sector to ensure that the targets are met. By Thursday, the Prime Minister chaired CARICOM's high-level breakfast meeting to assess progress made in combating NCDs in the region. In line with innovative approaches to address the issue, Mr. Holness launched Caribbean Moves. The initiative was launched ahead of the UN's third high-level meeting on the prevention and control of NCDs.
The health of our people is the wealth of our nations. We must remain steadfast and committed to the cause of fighting NCDs as we move our people to a healthier life. I implore all of us to step up and to move in our own countries.
Thursday also saw the Prime Minister addressing the 73rd session of the UNGA. He used his presentation to challenge the 193-member grouping to be a responsive body to remain relevant and effective in the global sphere. This, he says, can be done through global leadership and shared responsibilities for peaceful, equitable, and sustainable societies. Mr. Holness also urged world leaders to support small island developing states such as Jamaica to build their resilience against economic shocks and climate change.
Jamaica stands ready to continue working on how we can transform global thinking and together find effective solutions within a fair, rules-based multilateral system supportive of policies which will ensure the emergence and empowerment of small and developing states, truly leaving no country and no one behind.
Mr. Holness also called on international financial institutions to create a special support system for highly indebted middle-income countries. The call for the lifting of embargoes on Cuba was also reiterated by Prime Minister Holness.
Embargoes and other financial and economic barriers must not become tools to prevent people, such as our neighbors, the citizens of the Republic of Cuba, from attaining their rightful development.
A similar call was made to support efforts in quelling political issues in the Western Sahara, Syria, and Myanmar. And that's how we close out Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us next time for more of the news stories coming out of the Office of the Prime Minister.
Cancer, stress, high blood pressure. Guard yourself against these potentially deadly conditions by eating healthy. Give your body long life with foods such as low-fat milk, dried and fresh peas and beans, unsalted nuts and seeds, fresh vegetables, fruits, and coconut water, and eliminate processed seasonings such as seasoning salt, soy sauces, and ketchup. When it comes to meats, remember to remove the skin to reduce the intake of fats and oils. Meats should also be baked, steamed, grilled, or roasted. Fish is also a preferred protein option. To eat healthy, fill your body with a variety of foods from all the food groups. And remember, eat at a slow pace and in small bites to help aid digestion. This helps to maintain a healthy, balanced, and nutritious diet, strengthening your body to ward off illness and prolong life.
As we approach Heritage Week, we provide a spread of Jamaican traditional dishes. Dig in.
When we roast the yellow yam, when we roast the yellow yam, and we slice it in a two, and we slice it in a two.
The skin is brown, sometimes black, and some say scaly. Peel away the outer layer and get to the heart of its starchy goodness. There you'll find fulfillment and a taste that is as distinctive as the indescribable talent of our trailblazing athletic stars. More importantly, in the heart of our yams are essential nutrients for healthy living: vitamins C and B6, potassium, manganese, fiber, and iron. These nutrients converge in several varieties of the Jamaican yam, a tuber with off-white, purple, white, yellow, and sometimes red flesh, depending on the variety. For every type of yam, there is a uniquely Jamaican name, like renta, yampi, moonshine, or afu. Whatever the name, they're all edible, just so long as you cook them first. And with thousands of acres of fertile land, yam production is an island-wide vocation in Jamaica. But you might be surprised, or not, to know that the most popular yam-producing parish, Trelawney, is also the home of the world's fastest man.
Corrected to 969, the relax. Usain Bolt, tremendous running by this man.
Daylight come and me want go home. Work all night.
From jerk to curry recipes, Jamaican cooking is all about the spices, sourced right on the island. With the support of the state entity responsible for managing all things agricultural, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, Jamaica's spice producers are on the verge of stamping a bolder mark on the competitive international industry, with many programs unfurling to increase the production of traditional spices like ginger, turmeric, nutmeg, and pimento, and non-traditional spices such as hot peppers and onion. And the possibilities are bountiful. Take ginger and turmeric, for example. Both grow with relative ease almost anywhere on the island. In fact, travel to some places in Jamaica and you can find turmeric growing wild, unfettered by any environmental condition that could stunt its growth. Whether for use as a condiment, for its healing properties, or simply for coloring, consumers worldwide can't seem to get enough turmeric. Global trade in turmeric has been trending up, and so have prices. As for Jamaican ginger, it has long been considered among, if not the best in the world. Current global demand for Jamaican ginger is estimated at 21,000 metric tons in its fresh form and 4,200 tons dried, and there's room for growth. Whether your delight is tea, coffee, or maybe cocoa, Jamaican value-added producers have carved out a reputation for delivering only the best. Jamaica is known for its lush landscapes, revered for its music, celebrated for its track stars, and the world is hooked on our coffee. And it's hardly surprising. The species of choice in the Jamaican coffee industry, Arabic coffee, is widely accepted as producing the far superior cup. And Blue Mountain is the brand best loved by coffee connoisseurs from near and far, commanding high prices wherever it's sold. Cultivated high up in the misty blue-hued mountains of the island, maturing in rich volcanic-based soil, only the best bright red cherries are hand-picked, sun-dried, stored, cured, hulled, polished, sized, hand-sorted and packaged to bring the highest quality coffee to your tables. The end product is a cup of exceptionally balanced, exotic and intense aroma with an intricate range of flavor notes that is said to include a subtle hint of herbs, spice and chocolate. Let's take a tea break. Authentic, Jamaican, instant, Salada teas are among a thriving tea market that bags flavors familiar to most people and countries, mixed in with some distinct Jamaican blends. Now for another sweet treat. The cacao plant, or Jamaican cocoa, is a wide-branching evergreen tree from which the world-famous Jamaican cocoa, chocolate, and cocoa butter are produced. Local companies like Chocolate Dreams are milking the lessons learned from centuries of Jamaican cocoa production to turn out sweet delights for every palate. Besides being a pleasure to the taste buds, these products benefit from the many nutritious compounds of the Jamaican cocoa beans. From the mild stimulant of the caffeine alkaloid theobromine to its natural fat starch and the natural amphetamine phenylethylamine, Jamaican cocoa is a folk remedy for maladies from wounds to fevers, coughs, burns, and listlessness. Its fat, Jamaican cocoa butter, is used in confections, in manufacturing soaps and cosmetics. Sweet, medicinal, another Jamaican agri-pursuit poised for new investment, ready to compete with the best anywhere in the world. So, what's your delight? Whatever it is, Jamaican farmers and end producers are uniquely and creatively positioned to deliver. In this land of wood and water, champions are not just made for the tracks, they're also found in the fields and in the shopping carts of discerning consumers the world over.
The Urban Development Corporation, as part of its social responsibility, hosts an annual treat at Fort Clarence Beach for state care children. Let's join them in the fun.
The Urban Development Corporation UDC Summer Fun always delivers an entertaining and fun-filled time for its specially invited guests.
It is an event geared towards children living in childcare and protective institutions, and it's our way of saying, we want to show them extra love and extra care, a day of fun and activities, and an opportunity for our staff members to give back to their community.
The venue was the Fort Clarence Beach in Hellshire St. Catherine. The highly anticipated treat is one of the many corporate social responsibility CSR projects by the corporation as it celebrates its 50th anniversary and makes an impact on the lives of the youngsters. The children were encouraged never to give up on their hopes and aspirations and also to affirm themselves of how special they are.
Come on, touch yourself again and says, I am one of a kind. Do you believe that? Yes, I believe it as well.
The event, which is an outreach program, provides a recreational opportunity for many of the children who otherwise would not have this experience.
I look forward every year to this venture of this UDC taking the children out for a fun day, because many of these children are challenged children and sometimes they do not go anywhere like the other rest of children. So I'm very grateful to you, UDC, for taking us out on this blessed occasion.
When we take them out to interact with other persons, it helps them in a stimulus way.
It's feeling good. Well, this is not my first year. This is my second or third year.
On behalf of Mustard Seed, my father's house, the children and staff there, I must say a big thank you for the love and care that you showed for our children.
148 children and 20 caregivers were treated from 6 protective institutions. They include Jerusalem Children's Home, National Children's Home, Mustard Seed and My Father's House, Reddy's Place of Safety, Maxfield Park Children's Home, and the Glen Hope Place of Safety.
It has been a great event. These children have been enjoying themselves. We have the Hope Zoo on board this year for the first time. They've been petting the crocodile, the turtle.
We have a very long-term relationship at the Hope Zoo with the UDC. We are conservation partners, and we're very excited to be here today with them to promote conservation, to promote education. The children are our future, let's face it, and exposing them to these animals so that they understand the importance that they play in the environment is very, very important to us.
We're very grateful to our sponsors, Jamaica Producers, Jamaica Biscuit Company, Hope Zoo, JUTC, National Ice, and of course our very own Caymanas Development Company.
The UDC is very passionate about volunteerism, and for the staff, sharing the moment with the children brought a feeling of satisfaction.
I chose to volunteer today because I truly believe in service over self. If we don't help out each other, how can we help ourselves,
I'm a social work student, and especially volunteering with children from the state care, it gives me an opportunity to interact with persons and children that I'm actually going to be dealing with in the near future.
The UDC Summer Fun is a rebranded product of the Hellshire Summer Fun event, which is in its 34th year.
The UDC is all about development, and this is just one of the ways we're doing that.
Thank you, God, for a little things that often come our way. The things we take for granted, but don't mention when we pray.
To learn more about the work of the Urban Development Corporation, call 876-656-8031 or visit their website at udcja.com. You may also follow them on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit their information center on the ground floor at Kingston Mall in downtown Kingston.
This is where the magazine closes for today. For a lineup like you just saw, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You may also visit our website and other social media platforms to stay in the know on matters of national importance. And of course, join us daily on this station for the latest installment of Jamaica Magazine. Until next time, I'm Adrian Atkinson on behalf of the entire team here at the JIS. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.